Welcome back for another exciting series. This will be the last one before the loser semifinals. So we'll see if Wham is able to potentially try to get closer to matching up against his bro again. Obviously has Louis MT to go through next, or Valdemar.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard fight, the next one especially. Wham here in the loser's bracket, the previous king of the Rockies, looking to fight to stay alive, facing elimination here, hoping to keep his crown from last year, going up against Valdemar, who had a great 3-2 series against MSN just earlier today. Really exciting stuff.
Yeah, definitely one of the most exciting series of the tournament so far. I actually heard him mention over to MSN, they were like, crazy back and forth, crazy consistency, but it was one of the most exciting series that he said he's ever played really in a tournament game.
Yeah, and especially being here, being in person, being, 10 feet away from your competitor has to amp up that level with the crowd here, with everything. It's been an exciting time this whole week.
Yeah, and I mean, look at this. We're not too surprised to see this matchup yet again in the tournament. I feel like this has kind of been the storyline consistently, is the Byzantines versus Japan. A lot of times, as we saw Valdemar and Wham, both prioritizing one or the other, and we're seeing here matching up on Dry Arabia to start this series.
Yeah, I opened up my phone this morning. I saw that meme online that someone had posted to the AoE4 subreddit with the Japanese chasing down the Byzantines. That early aggression, that early pressure from those two spearmen, or more if the Japanese decides to, really disrupt what the Byzantines have going on. We'll see how Wham reacts here if Valdemar is planning on being that aggressive that early.
Yeah, and even if you don't initially go with those spearmen, we saw Louis MT against Marine Lord. He decided to just fully go straight to feudal age, and Marine Lord still reacted the same way you would just in case those spearmen were coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the threat of it being there as an option is going to change up how you approach the opening when you're Byzantines here.
Yeah, so you always got to respect that opponent, respect that opening here. I know Wham and Puppy both have been prioritizing Japan quite a bit, so he's on the other side this time, and we've kind of consistently seen Byzantines get ahead in that early to mid game, and Japan just able to make that comeback once the Mounted Samurai start to climb up in numbers.
Yeah, such a brutal unit, as we saw in the last game, with Louis making nothing but Mounted Samurai. We'll take a look right now at the all-time series count and match count between our two players. Wham the winner every time, but recently, the Killer Pigeon midweek muster, Valdemar making it a competitive series 3-2 both those times.
Yeah, I mean, even being, the series count can definitely be deceiving when you look at all the last three encounters, like you just said, 3-2, 3-2, and 3-1. There have not been easy, clean sweeps for Wham by any means, so has to respect Valdemar here, has to come ready to play here today.
Especially a growing, developing player who's getting serious now. I know he's posted a bunch on his YouTube about his plans, his dedication to this game, how he's taken the training so much more seriously. He's going to be a tough competitor here against Wham.
Yeah, and keep in mind with this series, too, there's not going to be a lot of time turnaround until the next series for whoever wins this one. So it's going to be this best of 5 into immediately running into Louis MT. So these guys are going to have some endurance, going to have that mindset right.
Absolutely. There is a dragon waiting just around the corner for the winner of this set.
Yeah, we saw not only that, Louis got some extra fans out there making signs and whatnot, and I heard there might be a potential sign on Wham's desk here from another fan that had posted something up.
Yeah, we'll have to check that out once the match gets started and we can see the player cams. But yeah, for now, just getting settled in, waiting on the first game. Wham, Valdemar, Byzantines, Japanese.
Yeah, and it's one I'm sure we'll get back to the full Civ draft here soon. Every single time there's so much thought process that goes into these Civ drafts. They're kind of planning, prepping so much. I've seen multiple players, go with those like fake map drafts, assuming what their opponent's going to prioritize, and really just any way to get a leg up on your opponent.
Yeah, that is one of those things, practicing drafting, trying to figure out, okay, my opponent prefers these civs, this is the map pool. What is he going to pick for certain maps? When is that going to come up in the series? What's my response going to be?
Yeah, we saw Valdemar was the only person so far today that left, or actually not even today, the whole tournament that left Chinese open for an opponent. Did not get the win against China, but that has been the notorious first two bans over here with House of Lancaster and China. And then the next ban is more of a counter, get your opponent out of one of their comfort picks, out of one of their comfort civs here. So that's exactly what we see here as well with this draft.
Yeah, see Frisian Marsh is an option here, but KT getting banned out for Wham, and it looks like highlighted in the upper left of your screen, we might have got another recent donation here. So thank you for the donations. We've got a Matcherino link in the chat. If we can get to $5,000, that should be enough to push us over, make us an official S-tier tournament.
Yeah, and everything adds up. It might not seem like a $5 donation's much, even a $1 donation's much, but if everyone there in Twitch chat decides to do that, we might just be there in no time at all.
Yeah, it would be pretty crazy to be a part of a tournament that evolves from A to S in the middle of it. Be a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of looking at the rest of these civs that they have in store, we've seen Ottomans kind of be a bigger priority pick this tournament. Very, very comfortable. But forget all of that. Let's get into the classic matchup that we've continued to see over and over this tournament. It will be Byzantines versus Japanese.
Yeah, coming in here on Dry Arabia. Opening up, taking a look at the initial spawns, and we got a pause.
Well, I see someone's not in their share, so that seems a little bit difficult to play a 1v1 game when it's just you.
Oh. And Valdemar, there he is. He's popped back in. And I think we'll kick it over. The tournament organizers having a chat, figuring out what's up right now.
Yeah, I'm sure something's going on there, but we're at least getting to see the layout, see the game playing here. Obviously, the map's still dark for them, but we can see Spearman is in queue, about to end up coming across. So just like we had expected here.
All right. I don't see the headset back on for Valdemar, so I'm not sure if we're resuming at this point or if it is going to be a remake.
I believe we will be resuming here in just a few seconds here. Players wanting to, stay warmed up, get ready, get their minds right. And here it is. Resume has happened. First Spearman pops out right then and there. And Wham, we've expected, most Byzantine players have expected this Spearman. So what do? They go out on the berries early. They go ahead and get that first initial set of olive oil in. And even that, a lot of times you'll see them gather the further berries because the closer ones are enough for their TC to bait in some Spearmen, potentially get a kill or at least some damage down early.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that first Spearman is about halfway across. We'll see what Wham's got set up to deal with this. He is taking the berries a little closer to home. The ones further out in that berry pack, a little further away from the mill. So yeah, as you were saying, those will run out. We'll have those fresh berries in TC range, looking to defend.
Yeah, but obviously the reason why Japanese players are doing this early pressure, early annoyance is we all know how Byzantine like to play. If they're able to get that olive oil flowing, if they're able to get those cisterns up and running, it really turns into this just dynamic economy. But the Spearman really puts them on the back foot for the first couple minutes at least.
Yeah, certainly. When I think of civs that have those economies that just take a little bit to set up and then completely scale and overwhelm the opponent, Byzantines are near the top of the list, and it's up to the opponent to put some pressure on, disrupt that, make them not feel comfortable while they get their economy going.
Yeah, and that first Spearman was actually just posted up watching the berries, not getting baited in, not getting too scared to get some views there. But the other Spearman, second Spearman, moves on over to the gold, forces the two villagers on back and away.
Yep. Wham just bumped off a gold for the time being. Going to need to re-macro a bit, but no problems with getting up to feudal shortly here. As we take a look at the sheep count, Wham on the map, scooping up a whole bunch of them. 15-8 right now, 7 more in play, and you can see on that mini-map, we've got our little sheep overlay. You can see those on the map.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one where, certain civs don't care as much about the sheep, but it's still one of these that these pro players are so efficient at timing their attacks when their opponents run out of food. And just a few extra sheep can really give you that little bit of extra breathing room, that slight bit of time to potentially, give yourself an easement of that pressure.
Yeah, even if sheep are not your first priority with food, they're a great, safety in your back pocket to have, just in case you do have that pressure bearing down on you.
And Wham trying to go ahead, sneak out onto this stone. No pressure onto the stone, no vision over right currently for Valdemar on the side of Wham's base. So isn't able to see this move out. And this is really going to allow Wham to get that cistern, get that water level rising earlier.
Yep, big part of the Byzantine economy there. 3 going over to stone. You see Valdemar's got that other spear. Keeping an eye on the deer pack, seeing if there's going to be any movement in that direction as he goes up with a Curus storehouse.
Yeah, Curus storehouse, no surprise at all. We did see the Coca Township one time this tournament so far, but the Curus storehouse has really been the feudal landmark that everyone leans into. It again, we just talked about food being an easy pressure point. Well, this delays any sort of Japanese transition, and once you get the daimyo manor upgrades and things of that sort, the farms get even stronger that were produced for free.
Absolutely, absolutely. To have that safe and kind of automatic little farm transition in the back takes a little bit of pressure off when it comes to expanding on the map, looking for other food sources.
Yeah, and I will say, we talked about the sheep early on, but sometimes when you haven't found a ton of sheep, you feel more pressure to continue your scouting, continue trying to find more and more sheep, and then you're lacking the knowledge of what your opponent's doing. So that's where, right back again to this stone gathering from Wham. It has been unnoticed, it has been untouched, and Byzantines kind of in their comfort zone, even though there was that early spear rush.
Yeah, there was early aggression, but Wham was able to take those more riskier berries and then pull back, take the safer ones after that. Spear's able to push Wham off of gold for a second, but he had enough to age up. He's just forced off of gold for the moment, but that first horseman is about to pop out of the hippodrome for him. Gonna head down to the Japanese base and see what's going on there.
Yeah, and not too surprising, we're seeing another horseman on the other side for Valdemar. He, against MSN, he played with horsemen really exceptionally well. There were so many different raids where he split off 2-3 horsemen and just got a ton of idle time, got a few villager picks here and there. And so that is one where Japanese as well have their extra melee upgrades to make those horsemen just a little bit stronger, equalizing that triumph ability in a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been those little raids here and there. It's been those 3-4 horsemen or knights just stationed around the other player's base, raiding in and out, having that pressure consistently. That's really proven to be the strength and win games for people.
Yeah, and again, we talked about Valdemar's lack of knowledge and information. I believe Wham actually went ahead, proactively moved out to the west side berries, and has an outpost going on up while also going ahead and raiding the berries on the other side. So far, opening has been looking pretty solid for Wham on the Byzantines, and it wasn't just one, a full set of 5 villagers. I love it when players do this. They're not going 6, 7, 8. There's enough room in that outpost to house every single villager.
Yep, keep them safe, especially this early in the game and as far away as those berries are. Villagers could be exposed if there's no room to garrison and a raid comes in.
Yep. First set of longbows has gone ahead, popped out, so any of those early spearmen will be deterred away. And not only that, the tower has been delayed, at least for the time being. That one single horseman just doing a great job so far, but might just get caught over here as wall is being built on the backside of Valdemar's base.
We'll see if that opening remains. I don't believe so. So that horseman is stuck back there with the spear. Scout able to get out of there, and we do have a counter raid by Valdemar. Able to get in there, poke some of the villagers, but not do too much damage.
Yeah, and that third cistern, actually that's the 4th cistern, now has been built from Wham. Just needs to finish up the aqueduct all along the path, and he will have a level 4 water level, and that is really almost like a pseudo Ahim Chapel over there.
Yeah, that is absolutely nuts. Those cisterns in the Byzantine, the backbone of their economy, the reason why they need to be disrupted in the early game before all of that gets set up. Wam looking pretty comfortable right now, I'd say.
Yep, and not only the 4th, now he's moving it along to the 5th, so won't have to stay on that stone anymore. Those villagers can move off, start gathering more resources just for more and more military, more and more pressure to make sure he is not falling behind on the horseman number. And longbows should have the next group coming out, I would say, in about 2 minutes or so.
Yep, we see the original 5 on the field, and Wam's looking now with his group of horsemen, trying to get some damage in on Valdemar's base. Valdemar also patrolling outside of Wam's base.
Oh, and it looks like those longbows getting a little close to those horsemen. Valdemar notices it, but TC just close enough to deter that horseman mass away.
Yep, cannot engage currently at this time. But the horsemen from Wam coming in, finding some exposed Japanese villagers on the berries. Do a little bit of damage, not able to pick up one, but another one on the wall, and I think that one's going to go down. So first blood goes to Wam, picking off that villager of Valdemar.
Loses a horseman for it, but there's that early berries actually getting focused down. There was an extra villager out there, so one equalized by Valdemar, going ahead, starting to burn down that outpost. He knows where the horsemen of Wam were. They were on the other side. Villagers pop out for a quick repair, but longbows moving over, spears now moving over as well, so Wam should not have to worry about those villagers for too long.
Yeah, a little pressure there. Reaction by Wam, able to clear that up. Valdemar not able to get much besides that one villager. You see walls coming in, and now Wam trying to get something going. The front of Valdemar's base here, but there are spears, and he'll have to turn away for the time being.
Yeah, it looks like Valdemar's taking one out of Wam's book, dropping walls on down early and often, making sure that backside of his economy is nice, safe, and secure, and also another set of berries for himself, which is a great gathering source for the Japanese.
Yep, absolutely. The berries in the back, a little extra gold that's safe. And Wam on the retreat back to his base. Valdemar's there with a bunch of horsemen. They'll give chase.
Yeah, each of these players are going to have this 1-1-1 military composition, but you blink, and all of a sudden, that Byzantine economy has been able to match the military numbers somewhat, at least not have too much pressure go down, and the Golden Horn Tower already on its way up, 9 villagers, and this provides so much value, especially next to that cistern at water level 5.
Yeah, absolutely. Pumping out those free units. Valdemar not anywhere near castle at this point, so Wam looking to just hold, get up to castle, defend here. Valdemar looking once again at those villagers on the berries, but there's just 5 over there, and there's some reinforcements as well to deter Valdemar.
Yeah, that vision gave Wam the information needed to react correctly. Golden Horn Towers 10 seconds away from finishing. That's where you'll see the mercenary upgrade come through super, super fast. And then we've kind of seen the Byzantines actually lean into a few cataphracts pretty early on in Castle Age, kind of be that scarier, tough unit, very, very tanky here. Age Up comes through. Valdemar knows he needs to do something, immediately trying to dive on top of that gold.
Yeah, trying to do something to that tower. Spears come up. Horsemen are in here. It's going to be an absolute melee at the base of the tower. Wam holding on, trying to defend. There are so many spears from the Japanese. Those horsemen can't take comfortable engagements.
Yeah, villagers just decided to run on away. Horsemen now diving even further on, getting on top of some longbows, getting on top of some villagers in the wood line. But is this damage going to be enough to stop this Castle Age push that's going to come after? Horsemen still taking up TC fire. Villagers pulling the shivs out. Accuratory defense now, so they have spears as well. And Valdemar, while this dive did come through, he did pick up, maybe 2 villagers there from it. It just doesn't feel like he will be in good enough position right now, but he's trying to equalize the Castle Age soon.
Yep, you can see the macro shift up there, looking like he's going to castle now. Some heavy losses there in that raid, only 2 villagers. You can see the difference in destroyed value there. Wam able to hold on, and Byzantines looking good, in a good spot.
Yes, they are indeed. Had that game plan coming in, was able to get the cisterns up and running, and just even though down 2 villagers, there's definitely an economic difference now that especially some passive production automatically keeps popping out.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of it does just come back to that villager sneak. Those 3 over there on the stone mine who weren't discovered, able to get the stone necessary to get that cistern economy up and running without being detected. That was huge. And now we got a raid coming in before that tower can go up. Wham's here, looking to pressure that deer camp. Gonna maybe get a Vil, but nope, has to draw back. There was a spear in the mix, but that will just delay that camp even more.
Yeah, and Wham trying to secure that next food location for himself, just like Valdemar was on the deer pack out on the side. Speaking of deer camp, Wham just gets spotted on the deer he moved out to as well, has to pull back. He sees, another horseman arriving, the scout there, so Valdemar has the knowledge, has the information, might have gotten actually baited by the scout first, thinking that it wasn't anything here to worry about too bad.
Scout leading the way, setting the first attack ping with the horseman in waiting. But Wham rotating a couple spears over to deal. Wham just patrolling the outside of Valdemar's base right now. Pretty walled off, I'd say. Looking for other targets. Got that cataphract on the field, and there's that deer camp over to the northwest of Valdemar's base.
So now Wham knows that Valdemar equalized that Castle Age timing, know that, that's where resources are spent, and you can see the military numbers heavily, heavily favoring Wham. Cataphract raiding that deer location, villagers trying to get on away, but it should be at least one. Yep, there's one picked up, maybe a second here to follow. Oh, charge got canceled there.
Right at the tail end, that villager just barely gets out with his life. Army value for both players. A Wham looking at maybe 3 times the amount that Valdemar has. Been in castle for this long with a golden horn, able to get those cataphracts out, those beefier units. Looking to do something with them.
Yeah, and the big thing you want to do as we see a couple more horsemen go down from Wham, which were that feudal age throwaway unit, is you're always wanting to try to keep that longbow number down when you're playing against Byzantines. But Valdemar hasn't been able to do too much of that. Wham's done a great job keeping the longbows alive. Just heard first relic grabbed and secured here by Valdemar, able to take it behind his walls.
Yep, floating gate giving you that Shinto priest, allowing you to quickly get out onto the map, start securing some relics. Wham, no play for them quite yet. He is more interested in what's going on at that deer camp, preventing Valdemar from taking that good source of food.
Yeah, and currently there's 5 cataphracts out from Wham. Meanwhile, Valdemar only has 4 mounted samurais, not a huge spearman mass either, so really feels like it's not only a military number benefit for Wham, it's also that, stronger unit composition.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see Wham starting his walls, trying to keep himself safe from any Valdemar raids in the future while those cataphracts work on taking down that outpost on the deer. Valdemar kind of walled in at this point. It's going to be tricky to expand out and find some of those other resources as the ones inside start to dwindle.
Yeah, Valdemar splitting off a couple mounted samurai. I'm sure he's going to try to find a location, a spot to be able to raid. But as you just mentioned, Wham walls are going up. Wham walls are close to finishing now.
And we'll see if they're going to finish in time, as a mounted samurai and a couple of his friends are looking to squeeze on through the opening, and they will be able to. They pick off that Vil and keep that opening exposed for the time being.
Yeah, Wham, though, is posturing in front of the base of Valdemar. So, obviously we all talk about the best time to attack is sometimes when you're on the defensive, since your opponent's sending everything up front and forward. But this is a huge mass in his base. It's diving under the Japanese TC that's upgraded, so quite a bit of damage going down, but you can see how tanky those cataphracts are.
Yeah, he was hanging out for a long time, just absorbing those blows, looking to see if there were any Vils around that wood line. Couldn't find anything, and now they're going to rotate around the other side of the base, see what else is available for him.
gold has run out, but there is a second gold behind his walls already. So not a big worry for Valdemar. That's why that initial wall he dropped was so strong for him, is because it secured him resources throughout the future of the game. He also notices Wam's gold runs out, able to hit the villagers right as they're moving out. A great raid coming in from Valdemar. Late reaction from Wam as well. Pathing difficulty. Villagers are cut off from where they want to go from the gate, and that's another 5 vills that should fall here unless they can get back to their army.
That is insane. Great positioning from Valdemar to cut off the retreat from that many villagers, keeping them exposed and on the map. Great pickup there.
Yeah, I mean, Valdemar has to be feeling really good about himself after that raid, gets that little bit of confidence back up after maybe a potentially little, foot behind in the early game.
Mm-hmm. Those little things building momentum, especially when you're playing a little bit on the back foot after the game started. Those mounted samurais, though, running away from the cataphracts, looking to get back safely. There's a tiny little engagement outside of Valdemar's base.
Yeah, but Wam didn't quite have enough of his army there. Arrives a bit late, and still overall somewhat even trade there. Big, massive mounted samurai getting chased down by some cataphracts.
Yeah, big, massive mounted samurai on the map there, but also big, massive longbows. Wam has been able to balloon that count up to 36, with another batch waiting in the queue to come out.
Speaking of more raiding going on, Wam is still posturing at the front side of that base, trying to deny some of that farming eco on the front side, but really can't dive fully through these walls, or else he's, vulnerable to losing the mass of his army, and that's his win condition right now. Keep his army together, keep his army strong, and the way in is the side of the walls that we talked about earlier.
Absolutely no path through the front, so take the side door. Waiting for the army to regroup here. Valdemar has some units in position to defend. Those cataphracts, though, looking at the gold mine, can't commit to it fully with the rest of Valdemar's army.
Now, though, fighting in the choke points, longbows going untouched, but there is a huge Yumi mass on the other side. Trample maybe going to be utilized soon. Wololo comes out for Valdemar. There is a cataphract that's close that way, but Wam reacts, pulls it back in time, still wants to continue making these trades. The front side of the mounted samurai is starting to thin out faster and faster. Not too many spears left on that front side. Will this be enough for Valdemar to hold?
We shall see. Wam retreating just a little bit, luring those spears back, luring those Yumi out into the longbows. Reinforcements, though, coming around the backside from Valdemar. Mounted samurai able to get on the longbows. This could be devastating.
Yeah, the front line, there's supposed to be some spears here. There's supposed to be more cataphracts, but they're somewhere else. They're nowhere to be found, and this is a huge pickup by Valdemar.
Yeah, it was a giant mass of longbows getting absolutely annihilated. The Byzantines, it's going to take them a while for them to be able to remass that.
This is now looking a bit precarious here for Wam. He feels like he has to do something. He knows where Valdemar's army is, but that Japanese TC, it just keeps taking out more and more units as they try to run by, as they try to find somewhere to get damage, some return fire.
Yeah, nothing coming through the front door there. Wam is being shut out completely in that direction. Needs to fall back, regroup, and see where he wants to take it at this point in the game.
Having to make his own Olive Grove transition. That Yumi mass is so nice once you get it masked up, because what we just saw, not only was it the mounted samurai, the Yumi are able to close the gap on those slower longbows.
Mm-hmm. Additional speed, and the longbows are slower units as it is. It's one of those things, they're caught out of position like they were earlier. There's not much they can do.
Not much at all. Valdemar actually not producing as many mounted samurai anymore. He's starting to lag in his food gathering economy. Might be needing a bigger farm transition than he already has.
Yep. Quite a big farm transition already. Could use a few more at this point. He's adding some spears, a few more mounted samurai, trying to get that mass going. Right now, though, military count just outmassing Wam.
Yeah, after that trade, it was one that Valdemar's just found himself ahead and trying to stay on ahead, but backside gold clearly starting to become a concern for Valdemar. He wants to go ahead, secure his next gold location. Great brace by those Limitane. 2 mounted samurais go down.
And there will be no harassment in that direction, but we do have Cataphracts now coming around, getting a look at what Valdemar might be doing. He is moving his army out forward. That priest barely getting away with his life.
Yeah, Valdemar has been able to secure 3 relics behind this. So Japanese, again, we've seen it earlier in the series. Byzantines feels like they have momentum early on, but all of a sudden Castle Age starts to extend and it slowly favors Japanese more and more and more. Big engagement coming through. Wam really needs to win this one, really needs to thin out that Yumi mass, but Valdemar, he's trailing the other set of Cataphracts that are on the way here with a mass amount of spears. Will this be enough? Will this be the fight that Valdemar wants to take to try to win this game? Mounted Samurai diving forward as well. Those Cataphracts, tanky unit, Triumph has been utilized, but is there enough here?
There's still quite a few spears up there for Valdemar, and the Cataphracts are going down at this point. Wam is in retreat. Valdemar advances, and that is the game.
Game number 1 goes over to Valdemar, and Japanese once again getting that leg up over the Byzantines. It doesn't feel like, early on in the game that it was going to be tilted that much, and all of a sudden one massive fight, and Valdemar just seems like he has too big of a lead to come back from.
Yeah, it seemed like the Byzantines were doing great, feeling comfortable in a great position, being able to set up those 5 cisterns early, no pressure on the stone, able to set up that economy. But those longbows just caught out a position for that raid from the flank with those mounted samurais by Valdemar to wipe those out, really put Wam on the back foot from that point forward.
Yeah, did not have all of his mass there during the fight, and that's one where if you're taking that big engagement, you must have the rest of your army there against Japanese specifically with the movement speed that those Yumi have.
They are so mobile. Take a look at the post-game graphs here. You can see military value lead for Valdemar. It's cut in half, and there's that point where Wam is up there. He hits Castle. He's able to start getting those Cataphracts out there, but then there's that big loss of longbows, and that seals the deal.
Yeah, not only that, that fight happened too pretty similarly when the gold raid came down too, and Wam, he was not able to escape the way he wanted. Valdemar did a great job cutting off the way the villagers wanted to run through the gate and forced them to run towards the army, but that made 3, 4, 5 extra vills go down.
Yeah, that was a huge pickup, and you can see that on the economy graph, that little dip there. We're going back into the game right now, an initial raid from Valdemar. This was the hold that Wam had trying to age up, able to prevent Valdemar from taking more than 2 villagers in this. Valdemar losing a lot of military, and it looked like a very strong hold for Wam.
Yeah, this is really when it felt like Byzantines had full control. He had the 5 cisterns up and running. Castle Age had been finished at this point, so felt like that, all in that was necessary from Valdemar, and it didn't seem like it was too crazy of a victory there, but what it did was give him the time to get up to Castle. He already had the free farms in play, and this is that big engagement. You see the numbers at the top. I only see 4 or 5 Limitane here, and there's 14 or 15 out for Wam, so just didn't have that frontline unit that he needed, and that's where Valdemar waited until the mounted samurai had this circle to just be able to close the gap here.
Yeah, all the heavy Cataphracts, those heavy melee units in the front forced through those choke points, and then on the retreat, you'll see those Cataphracts moving up, exposing the longbows.
What a big first game here, and I would say, starting out that Valdemar wants to be that upset. Wam was the victor last year of King of the Rockies. He wants to try to get back up to that winner's bracket round, have a chance to get a back-to-back King of the Rockies victory, but Valdemar has something to say before that happens.
Absolutely. We saw those results of the recent sets from the midweek muster in previous tournaments, 3-1, 3-2, 3-2. Valdemar got some steam going, got some momentum. looking to turn it around here and shut down Wham and knock out the previous king of the Rockies.
Yeah, and next Civ matchup already shown here on the board. We have Rus picked by Wham, Valdemar picked by the French, and I'm sure, this is a little bit of a potential night v night matchup, but Rus really wants to get to that sweet spot of Castle Age, massing the Horse Archer numbers, dropping some walls down as well to not allow any of those Royal Knights to get into the economy.
Yeah, to cut off those spaces where those knights can get in and then have the mobility that the horse archers offer, start picking off any exposed villagers that the French may have across the map as they go out, try to take those more high-value resources.
Yeah, we did see Valdemar already play the French today. It was one where it was knights, more knights until Castle Age happened, and he made that big transition into Arbs, into Spears to just play that defensive game for French, waiting for the guild hall to kind of pay off, trying to secure gold, and he really played that game very, very patiently for the French, which is not really what you usually say for the French.
Yeah, that is not, patient is not a term I would associate when I think of the French in this game. But yeah, we saw Valdemar with just a great defense, had the ARB numbers. Let's go into game 2 here on Pigeon View. We got the Rus versus the French.
Yeah, and one thing that Pigeon View does allow is, as we see with this side-by-side view, there's those little, outposts in the center. If Wham is able to get those secured, it makes it very hard for Valdemar to sneak knights around that aren't, in vision, and Wham's going to have the knowledge, be able to react proactively.
Yeah, absolutely. And as the observer was just showing, those deer packs spawning in next to each other on both sides of the map. So whoever gets there in the Pro Scout race, probably likely able to secure both deer packs for their own side.
Yeah, and I think this is one where, you're with the positioning of it, it's not the easiest to steal any from your opponent. I think they will just focus up on those close ones. I've always liked when they go for the close ones first. You want to start getting that extra economy boost sooner than later. It seems nice stealing some from your opponent, but if you're delaying your own deer gathering by 30 seconds, another minute or so, that really can actually allow your opponent to start that military snowball.
Yeah, it seems to come down to a very greed versus tempo play, deciding which deer pack to go for first.
Yeah, we're able to see the last couple sheep onto the map into this central point. Valdemar most likely going to be able to secure the rest of these, and basically a dead even sheep count overall, which I won't complain about. Nothing's worse than seeing a game start out and you're like, wow, one guy is going to be tilted because of that scouting pattern, because of where that sheep spawn was.
Yeah, it's a terrible feeling, only grabbing 3 or 4 and just wondering, okay, they've got such a massive advantage. What am I going to do to turn this around?
Yeah, no surprise here. Golden Gate being dropped. No surprise on the other side as well. School of Cav. But let's see, if sometimes you'll see French try to get one knight out early and then go into Pro Scouts. But I believe earlier in the game we saw Valdemar just delay that first knight, wants to get Pro Scouts as fast as possible because it is very easy for Rus to get it in queue early.
Absolutely, with the extra scouts already on the map. Once that comes out, they're at a pretty big advantage, I'd say.
Yeah. And so far, Wham's able to just slowly get that gold trickle in. Hasn't had to, go out to gold to do that at all. Looks like the very last sheep finally has been secured. So Wham actually, a little bit of a favor there, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah, 15-3, not bad at all. The scouts with the sheep on their way back. Feudal Age coming in just 30 seconds for both of these players. We see the 2 hunting cabins there all set up for Wham's gold income. Golden Gate just about complete. Sheep coming home for Valdemar.
Yep, and we do see that Valdemar focused in, and he, again, did this in the earlier game as well, so I'm assuming he's going to do a very similar build, but early wheelbarrow, allowing those villagers to just work a little bit harder from the earlier points in the game. Obviously, big bonus of French are those economic upgrades, just that little bit cheaper.
Mm-hmm. Saving the gold on that, allowing the French to actually be able to research that and still have a decent economy at that point. Feudal Age coming in now for both players. You can see Valdemar adding those 2 scouts in his School of Cav.
Yeah.
You see pro scouts also on the way for him.
Yep, queued up by both sides, so no surprise here. Valdemar, though, most likely going to try to get, a couple scouts on out, and then maybe that first Royal Knight to do some pressure. But for now, secure your deer packs, start getting those in here in the next minute or so, and we'll actually see how many scouts either of these players go. I feel like 4 is typically that sweet spot number. Any more than that, it's kind of a little bit greedier. You're going to still need the same amount of trips to the initial deer pack to fully gather them on up. And Wam opts for 4. Valdemar looks like he's opting for 4 as well.
Yep, those initial 2 scouts coming in on the deer for Wam. You can see the scouts coming over for Valdemar as well. Wam looking to just disrupt here, start killing some of the deer, make it that much more difficult in that deer pack.
Yeah, but one thing you noticed, too, was Wam did have to respect that potential first knight. He had a scout just parked in front of the School of Cav, had to make sure that if there is a knight coming out, he's going to track it down, he's going to follow it. Obviously, we know that's not the case, but still going ahead, drops the barracks, first couple spears moving out, and that first Royal Knight is finally in queue.
That'll be coming up soon, so 5 scouts apiece. Spears on their way for Wam, that knight on the way for Valdemar. We saw that outpost coming up on the berries, and that is the most camouflaged deer corpse I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, I thought the humans usually hide from the deer, not the deer hiding from the humans over here.
Going to be really tricky to find that one, blending right in with the stealth forest.
Yep. First Royal Knight has come out, so let's see if Valdemar's able to circle around, able to get any damage down. And look at what I mentioned earlier in the game. Both vision points secured by Wam.
Yep, he's got sight on what is happening in the middle of the map here. Those knights from Valdemar have to go around.
A little bit of
the boar.
Yeah, a little bit of damage coming down. Nothing too crazy, but hey, if you can cause some annoyance, cause some reaction, you might as well do it.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit here and there. Boar comes out, does a little bit of damage. Valdemar retreating with those knights, now circling around, looking for another path through. But Wam has some spears marching across the field, looking to intercept.
Oh, and 3 spears for 2 knights. While Valdemar can take this fight and technically kill them all with proper micro, not damage that he wants to take because, yeah, they heal up later on once Chivalry comes in, but Chivalry is an expensive upgrades, and he needs those knights out and active right now, or else he's going to lose this deer gathering.
Yeah, we see the deer packs starting to dwindle down. Spears now coming over to see if there's going to be any action on that other deer pack. Those Royal Knights, though, crossing the midfield here, heading towards Wam's base, looking around, looking for targets, going to find that wooden fortress. Need to switch around the back of that wood line.
Yeah, and look at what Wam now drops yet again. He went castle earlier last game. Now he's dropping castle again. There's a wooden fortress right next to this Valdemar. Yeah, he has a few knights, but this isn't a location that you feel comfortable enough to dive, or I guess he does. There's some spears there. There's more than enough TC room location for those villagers and the wooden fortress, or maybe not all of them, but
you could just swap them in and out.
And out.
Jump to the other side, make some room, and that scout goes down. Another knight is very injured, and not too much disruption there on Wam's age up.
Yeah, still able to continue the age up, and Wam actually, going ahead and not in any worry, no damage down, even though Valdemar fully dove past the wooden fortress and into the wood line, past the TC as well.
And we see the response here. Valdemar moving, getting heavy on gold at this point, and no wood coming in, looking to maybe even it up himself as these Royal Knights coming in for round 2, diving on the Vills, not going to pick up that kill.
There are a couple other Vills that are vulnerable, but able to get out yet again. A Royal Knight falls. The next one getting quite low. So 6 Royal Knights may be out on the field, but if you look at the collective health, there's more like 2 Royal Knights out on the field.
A lot of injuries for those Knights so far. And that high trade house will eventually go up here as Valdemar needs to retreat. Can't do much anymore to disrupt that. he's going to go up with the Royal Institute in response.
Yeah, and Valdemar going up with the Royal Institute means he does not want this one to be a long game. He wants to get a Castle Age timing, able to get the Royal Bloodlines earlier in, able to get those upgrades out of the Royal Institute. But Wham, I mean, he's got that mega condensed army or economy that Roos is used to. Going ahead, dropping double range, triple range. Horse Archer number is going to climb. It's going to climb fast.
Yeah, first one's in the queue, and that base doesn't look like it has any walking room for anybody. So compact there. Valdemar, though, with a couple more knights, just looking for any sort of target. Moving towards the point of interest, maybe looking to decrease Wham's vision on what's going on. Royal Institute just a couple of seconds away here.
Yeah, and I mean, the lovely part about Roos and the economy here now is the gold trickle that they get from High Trade House, the gold trickle that they get from the hunting cabins, allows them enough to get the necessary upgrades that they need earlier on. Isn't really forced to go out onto the gold that early, and just can continue to pump more and more horse archers. They aren't as valuable early on when there's only a few, but all of a sudden, 10, 20, 30 horse archers will be out, and Valdemar is kind of forced to take fights with his knights, or more importantly, run away and not allow that mass to get damage.
Yeah, it's really tricky because you do want to put pressure on those horse archers, try to pick them off before your opponent gets that critical mass and makes them very scary. Hit them when they're in a vulnerable state, but Valdemar just doesn't have the military at this time to do that.
Yep, we have seen chivalry come through for Valdemar now, so those lower health knights are slowly ticking back that health that they lost from those TC dives earlier on. Valdemar has his own outpost on the gold, able to react quick. First Vil almost goes down, does get taken out, so the technically economic first blood has now been drawn by Wham again this game.
Yeah, horse archers diving a little bit, hanging around that outpost, able to secure that kill, then getting out of there before they can take any more damage. And those three stables are pumping, those three archery ranges, making those horse archers. We've got 3 in the queue, and that number is going to continue to grow.
Just heard a few charges come through from Valdemar's knights. No horse archers went down from that. But Wham, he's doing the right thing you got to do against French. You want your horse archers to stay grouped, stay together, able to potentially get another Vil pick. Wasn't quite enough damage. But once you get those walls up, you have to focus way less on those potential raids that come in from those Royal Knights.
Yeah, definitely a pressure release. You're able to focus more on what you're doing with your army. And these knights are going to chase those horse archers down. A couple of scouts break off, stop them from advancing further, and Wham turns around, wants to get some damage in on his own terms.
Yeah, and the nice part about Wham attacking this front forward gold location, he knows how much gold's left, knows when Valdemar's going to have to move to another gold, because French is known for those high gold value units. Not only that, Valdemar has been forced to go on over, take some berries now, and food resources starting to run a little bit lower that are close to his base. Meanwhile, Wham, we see a few deer next to the High Trade House there from the natural spawn over time.
Yeah, he's happy to just stay at home. Everything he needs is there for the time being. We do have another little engagement in the stealth forest here. Those knights will keep the horse archers honest, but they are at the mass where they're able to start picking off the injured ones.
Yeah, the horse archers are more like keeping the knights honest, as we have seen more and more knights slowly start to fall and continue to fall. Number is not able to climb up as much, even with some of those, stronger upgrades that he can get earlier on. We do see Wham able to do a little bit of a relic heist, the exact one that Valdemar was trying to secure.
Yep. Getting there just 5 seconds before, and we do see another villager on that gold go down. Knights come out to try to contest, but the archers are there looking to pick off those injured knights from before, still adding damage to that group.
Yeah, Valdemar has been able to rotate to the back gold, so, the front tower, that front gold vein, a little bit of a bait for the time being. Wants to just continue to push more and more Royal Knights, but we talked about it earlier. This horse archer number, it's up to 30 now. If we thought Knights were taking damage before, they're going to be taking even more damage. We just saw one get one shot, another one falls. Every single time he turns, there's basically going to be one of those Knights falling if they focus fire.
Yeah, we saw the Royal institute earlier, I can't see if the bloodlines were ever researched. No, it wasn't. Yeah, all that gold pressure, focusing the gold on the creation of knights, so they are not upgraded.
It's such an expensive upgrade. It's so hard to get immediately when you're going up to castle. And oh no, Valdemar! He was going back to that gold vein. He had to turn back around. A big delay, a big idle time for 16 gold villagers.
And those horse archers just hanging out in the stealth forest in the back, waiting for the next time to strike and do some damage here. Aiding away the knights yet again. They'll turn around, deal some damage, and then just camp right on out in the stealth forest.
And Wam's already rallying to the gold on the front side. He knows Valdemar's going to have to get to that gold. Might be taking some damage with the horse archers, as we heard a sprinkled emplacement go, which is a great counter to just be able to poke up some more damage. More upgrades on those towers for Valdemar as well.
But that pressure remains in the back. Those horse archers are just being obnoxious, picking off knights one by one.
And speaking of knights, Wam has opted for a few himself because Valdemar, 12 archers now out on the field, able to take decent trades when those horse archers do turn around. But Wam going for a dive onto the base, going to get more villager picks here.
And so as those knights swing south to defend, those archers come out and they start looking for exposed targets to the north of Valdemar's base. Villagers able to get to safety, not going to find too much, but the knights are in a different position.
And look at the economic damage that has been done. 11 villager kills that Wam has been able to pick up. Meanwhile, Valdemar, he has not been able to pick up a single villager, which is never something you want to hear when you're playing Fringe.
No, absolutely. To lose this many knights without getting a vill kill, that's tough. Knights will engage here on the horse archers, able to get some decent charges off, while those horse archers drag the units back towards reinforcements, and Valdemar will disengage.
Yeah, we saw that resource graph starting to heavily favor Wam because he's continuing to cause more and more idle time. The villagers on Valdemar's side are running around rampant, trying to find safe spots to gather their resources from, and he has no walls still. Meanwhile, Wam, he's got the whole map walled now at this point.
Yeah, basically, he's got his own side defended. You can see Vills come out looking to secure the boar right inside that point of interest, which was Valdemar's when he was setting that up.
And you know what else we just saw? Valdemar, we'll see if there's a big fight here first, maybe just a little bit more kiting back and forth here from Wam. But Valdemar went and tried to secure the greedy relic on Wam's side. Wam's up 3-1. You can see Valdemar, it says he's bringing one back. It's stuck behind the walls.
He is trapped. Yeah, that poor monk. You can see that red dot on the bottom there.
At least it's a denial of passive gold income from Wam, but Wam hasn't had to worry about gathering gold. He's actually gathering sacred sites now. He's got a significant amount of gold in the bank. When Valdemar has 9 vills on gold, Wam has 0 and has the same amount of income there.
Yeah, I don't think he needs to worry about a slight reduction to passive gold income when he's already got a crazy amount going on right now. Little engagement, little back and forth, little probing in that stealth forest. Valdemar not committing. Wam backing up, repositioning himself.
Ooh. Valdemar, everywhere he moves out to, he is required to be dropping these outposts. If not, any villagers that go out onto these berries, go out onto these outside resources, will easily get sniped down and picked out.
Yeah, and with outposts, there's a clear difference in vision as well. Valdemar is got a little pinhole around his base that he can see. Meanwhile, Wam, with those points of interest and his movement out on the map, he's got a lot more available to him.
Attempted denial of the sacred site. That horseman, though, at 4 health. So one single... I love this from Wam. Not an overreaction. He's not sending his whole army. It's one single horse archer that's able to go deny that.
Absolutely, to shut that down. And here comes the charge in onto the boar. A little late reaction. That's going to be a couple vills.
The first villager pick up there by Wam has his whole army posturing at this location, trying to get this wooden fortress burnt down quick enough. Right as it's about to start burning, about to be on fire, Wam's army arrives, taking this head-on engagement. Horse archers not doing their typical kiting, taking a little bit of damage from those archers, but It looks like the mass is still heavily favoring Wham. He just opts for taking this fight. Doesn't need to kite. The archer number's been thinned out so much, he's just going to chase those down, kill everything he can.
Yeah, I don't need that front line anymore. You can take my knights. I still have all these mobile archers in the back, and I'm going to chase you after this. Meanwhile, Wham with a counter raid coming in onto Valdemar's gold, disrupting those goldvilles, causing havoc in the base of the French.
The gold, the stone, the wood line, every single one of those villagers having to run away, having to try to hide, find somewhere safe to go, and there's nowhere safe. Valdemar throws in the towel, Wham ties up the series.
Excellent game. Excellent, excellent game. Wham able to get that critical mass of horse archers and just really shut down those knights, that pressure on the gold, those knights not able to be upgraded from the Royal Institute in time. Great game.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a breath of fresh air for Wam2 to tie up the series there. Nothing's worse than starting a best of 5 down 0-2, feeling like you got to do a reverse sweep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a long way to climb back. We are evened up, though, at this point, Wham and Valdemar with a game apiece. We'll see what we go into for the next map. But yeah, that previous game, very, very well played. I mean, that defense by Wham, not letting Valdemar get any early villager picks, the dancing in and out of the TCs, the structure of the base to force those knights to take awkward angles, trying to pick up the villagers. It was great.
Yeah, Valdemar knew what he needed to do at that point. It's just Wham reacted in time, reacted better. But you mentioned it. The maps we have next, Valdemar's choosing between, it looks like Cliffside, Frisian Marshes, or Rockies.
Let's take a look at the post-game graphs now. There was that point where Valdemar did have the value lead with those Royal Knights, but those were getting injured. I mean, those were injured Royal Knights in that military value lead, and then once Wham was able to defend, secure his castle, start pumping those horse archers, you can see the swing back in that direction.
Yeah, and this is one where the economy count doesn't even tell the true full story here. Wham was able to get a lot of those Vil pickups, but look at the gold Wham had gathered. It wasn't as much as Valdemar, obviously, but how much of that was passive?
And yeah, 100%, I think.
Yep.
I think it was 100%. Yeah, the rest of the resources, I mean, the economy count looking tied, but all of those bonuses that the Roos get, just really turning it into Wham's favor.
Yeah, look at the APM, though. Literally one APM difference between these two players. So, you know, I always laugh where some people are like they're APM capped and things like that. But I've seen a lot of players that, you know, some people have sky-high APMs and lower APMs are able to keep up with them.
Yeah, there's definitely a variance. It's what you do with those actions that matter and that determine the games.
Ooh, and now the next map has been locked on in. It will be Rockies, and Mali has been picked quite a few times so far this tournament on Rockies. Definitely a comfort pick. I remember Delhi being a Civ pick on Rockies quite a bit. Also Coastal Cliffs, very, you know, similar map here. We have the specialized version here for this tournament.
Yeah. Saw some Malians earlier on this map. I remember last year on Rockies, a lot of Delhi action as well. Able to just get your military going in feudal, be mobile. There's not that much of a map to contest. So if you're able to get that military ball started, yeah, you're in a good position to attack from wherever you want to be.
Yeah, and Delhi is known for, you know, massing up plenty of Ghazis, and Mali, it's not necessarily economic damage that hurts them the most. A lot of times it's actually burning down their buildings and you know, not allowing that pit mine to have the full set of houses, the second pit mine to have the full set of houses and things of that sort. So let's see what the focus will be early on for Valdemar and this Delhi pick.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of pressure comes out. Yeah, with Malians, it's like an engine that gets started, and whatever you can do, you got to sabotage it. You can't let them pull the ripcord, get that cow boom online, or else you're way on the back foot.
Still has Frisian Marshes and Cliffside here to follow. I'm pretty sure Valdemar saving that KT pick for Frisian Marshes, as we've seen that be a very, very popular pick. I know Ottomans has been picked there a lot, so might be the matchup that Wham is thinking for himself. And then Cliffside is a map that, you know, has that very, very close TC matchups. We saw HRE played there earlier today, so might be the choice there from Wham too.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see HRE coming out on Cliffside if that is a map pick for the rest of the series. Maybe Zushi on the other side as well.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be picking. Obviously, Zushi was one of the priority picks for Valdemar. You always want to be picking your priority picks and make sure that you don't end the series without having played what you prioritized early on in the draft, or else it feels like you really should have prioritized something different.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You're jumping on them early. You want to use them. You want to get them out there. You can see, specific map picks and those civs a little later in the draft after the ban. You see with Frisian Marshes there, then you've got the Ottomans after KT is banned out for Wam, and then you got KT for Valdemar after the ban of the Malians on his side.
Yeah, and Mali's really that civ that they force you to play a different game. If you decide to play your own civ's game, a lot of times you just get overrun because of that cow boom, because of that passive food economy. So let's see these openings for this player. Game number 3, tied up series, and we are on the Rockies.
We are zooming in with our 360 cam by cow as we take a look at the Rocky Mountains and the valley that will be fought over. Those of you just tuning in, you can take a look at our mini map here. We've got our sheep overlay so you can see where those sheep are located.
Yeah, and I love seeing the outline of that new view, intro view there. But, Rockies is the only map that it sometimes can be finicky, as we're seeing through the view of the mountain, not seeing the mountain view, which I think that's the whole goal here.
They're swinging and no clipping right through the mountain range there. As both players setting up to start this game. Taking a look, so Malians do have one of their golds behind their base. Taking a look on the mini map, you can see that line coming out, coming progressively more forward as those gold mines continue.
Yeah, that one sheep didn't get snagged. It was hiding in the tree line there. But overall, this is one where the scouting patterns on this map are much more narrow because you got a third of the map gone with a big mountain range.
Yeah, there's less space that you need to travel, so you can quickly get in there, get down, see what your opponent's doing, scoop up some sheep, and not even worry about what's going on the edge of the map.
Exactly. So early sheep game here is usually one where it's not too crazy favoring one side or the other. Another sheep kind of tucked up near that mountain range. Dome of the Faith, obvious choice here for Delhi. It has not been a Tower of Victory meta for quite some time, although, you never know what some of these players strategize, what some of these players are thinking here. Play the meta or try to shock your opponent.
Always exciting to see a Tower of Victory come out. Always exciting knowing that it's going to be that hard commit feudal, getting that feudal mass going. But Dome of the Faith, certainly safer pick, more sensible. And, of course, the Mansa Quarry on the other side for Wam under construction.
Yep. Next couple sheep going to be secured here. And it goes 1-1 over there. So I believe there's 1 or 2 sheep left on the map, but nothing too 3 sheep left on the map. There you go, and it's a dead even count so far. Feudal Ages about to come through, and Wam actually going ahead, moving out for some berries. I don't think he dropped any sheep off at home.
Oh, and it looks like they're scout able to sneak through the back there. And there was a sheep, that died on that gold mine far away from a TC.
It does end up happening, and at times I always crack up when you'll see a villager run out when the scout runs by and just pulls out that cane, gets a nice old smackdown on one of the sheep.
Pop. Deny a sheep right there. Feudal Age almost in at this point. Dome of the Faith just 10 seconds away. Mansa Quarry not too far behind.
Exactly, and usually it's a quick stables drop here to follow the Delhi Sultanate. We've been in a Pro Scouts meta for so long. Delhi, while they still sometimes get it, they have to prioritize their other upgrades because they're free, they're slower, so it's not one that you really can get that very, very quick economic boost if you click Pro Scouts first.
Yeah, it's just going to jam up the queue and prevent you from getting those other techs in when they can start paying off. Before you get that scholar mass for sure. And there is the stable. No surprise, and a little harassment on the second pit mine there. Valdemar showing Wam, like, I know where you're going, know where you're expanding. Gonna throw these torches.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's too surprised about Mali moving out to try to secure their second pit mine. And it's one where even if Valdemar starts to focus this location, it takes so much to burn those down fully to actually deny that passive resource from coming on in. And Wam dropping a stables of his own. We've seen Sofa be, you know, the place that a lot of Mali players lean into very early on now.
Yeah, it seems in the games that I've watched so far in this tournament that Sofas have been a crucial backbone for the Malian army. You know, you got your classic Sofa, Poison Arrow, Archer. As the game develops, as the economy can support that, Sofa is pretty early on so far this tournament.
Yeah, and while Sofa did get their little bit of a buff in the recent patches, the benefit of them as well is they transition so well into Castle Age. Once Mali does decide to drop that Grand Fulani, they can get imported armor, get that upgrade, and then they really do become that, you know, knight-like unit.
Yeah, absolutely. To just have them on the field ready to basically grow up and advance once Castle Age is in. You don't have to invest into a different unit type. You already have your mass ready to go.
Yeah. Ghazi from Valdemar trying to deny this scouting opportunity from Wam. You can see it here now, forcing the scout on away. And Wam actually going with double warrior scouts now. It is not the Sofa yet, opting for warrior scouts first.
Very interesting. I think in the Louis series versus Myriad, there were a few warrior scouts in play looking to harass the Byzantines in that game. But we got two more in this one. Wam maybe looking for some pressure somewhere on Valdemar early on, as that scout gonna be able to sneak out of there with a bunch of Ghazi in trail.
Oh, and the warrior scout doing a great job deterring that first scholar from moving out, trying to secure a sacred site here. A sanctity is just now finishing. So you got to make sure, even though Mali plays their own game, if you can delay Delhi from getting that sacred site control, getting that gold trickle in, you feel very good about yourself. Looks like even has a little bit of the bitey infantry on his side for the time being. Scholars taking a little bit of damage. Might not seem like much, but sometimes those things live at 1 health, and that could be the difference.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And yeah, the Warrior Scout, small investment, and then a big potential time delay for that capture of the sacred site, paying off very well right now. You have little engagement here, nothing going on as the fights for the sacred sites continue.
Warrior Scout trying to get another swing on down, but it's really that 1-1-1 military mass coming from Wam. Got Donzo, has a Sofa now out, and Javelin Thrower in queue. Meanwhile, Valdemar just sticking onto Ghazi and archers.
Yeah, continuing to pump those Ghazi numbers, just about 10 at this point. Couple injured ones running by a wolf, but he'll be fine. That scout has been kiting those Ghazis for, it feels like, the last 2 minutes. But Valdemar breaking off and now just taking a look at the Malian base with those units.
Oh, able to grab and pick up that Warrior Scout, but Wim knows where the Ghazi mass is, knows what he needs to react to, proactively pulls out the villager. There is a cow that could have tried to get picked off, but finds his safe spot in the cattle ranch.
Yeah, able to get to safety there in the ranch. You see the Donzo throwing some spears over the trees, doing a little bit of damage to those Ghazi raiders. As reinforcements are on the way, scholars making their way down the field. That sacred site is still neutral, but with the military of Valdemar, that's soon going to switch.
Yeah, and the Ghazi mass, they're actually headed towards this deer camp that Wam was gathering from. Another scholar moving out, like we had just seen before. Second sacred site starting to trickle down, potentially be captured by Valdemar, but Wam's whole military is posturing that way. Scholar, a little bit up front and forward. The archers are there ready, able to start trying to snipe down the Donzo.
And look at that Scholar, able to just hold on the edge of the sacred site. The Donzo with their spears ready to throw. The archers need to fall back, so that site will be captured.
Yeah, and Wam not going for that cow boom, not fully going for the cow boom. We've seen a lot of greedy openings, but Delhi is one that has forced him to, react a little bit more than some other civs, as double sacred site secures for Delhi is so scary. They're able to hit up to castle very easily, able to trade that gold resource that they don't have anything to utilize other than scholars for early if they want to, or like you see Valdemar doing, pump that scholar number up so those techs come in so quick.
Yeah, approaching 12 at this point. And Wham sending a couple of units over to decap, but that Donso is going to be intercepted. And now on the northern one, Wham mustering some troops, keeping some hidden, just sending an injured Donzo up, maybe to bait out that reaction and trap some Ghazis looking to defend here.
Yeah, and he's sticking on Donzos, pumping up that javelin thrower number, and really wants to try to delay the sacred sites from coming down. First Ghazi has arrived, but the rest of Valdemar's army is here, ready and waiting, but pushed away for now. Archers, though, sniping down the Donzo exact target that they want to be focusing on. They'll snipe down the one that attempted to deny that sacred site, but has not kited back yet. Javelin throwers are there.
And Valdemar is repositioning that army, so Wham will decap at this point. Turning off the Sacred Victory, shutting off a source of gold for Valdemar.
But look at what Valdemar is trying to start doing. It's why Wham has been able to start equalizing this military number a little bit. I say equalize it because 12 scholars are not actually in that military mass. And Valdemar trying to go towards Castle Age.
Yeah, you can see that start to come in for him. Wham continuing to add those cows one by one, up to 8 at this point. Big old scholar mass hanging around, healing up those injured Ghazis from before, getting that army refreshed for the next big engagement.
Well, as I say that, he was about halfway to Castle Age, and the resources decided to queue up a few more Ghazi, decided to queue up a few more scholars, so we are not going to be going there yet. So Wham, not in this worry, not in this rush. He's still just slowly trickling in those cows, trying to get more and more passive resources.
Yeah, absolutely. And the army of Valdemar now marching up to engage with Wham here near that sacred site. You're going to see a warrior scout break through the ranks but get taken out.
And Ghazi's just circling on around now. Wham's trying to get the second sacred site denied. But as he does this, there's another scholar moving up front and forward to the next one. This has been a pure feudal age game that is just continuing to extend further and further. Ghazi diving on the javelins, but there's a brace done by the Donzo for now.
Able to pin that first Ghazi, but he doesn't seem to care too much. Those Donzo can't move up and engage. That massive archer in the backfield, those Javs doing what they can to thin out the archer numbers, but they are focusing on one target. You can see that overkill damage being done. Ghazis, though, have to retreat at this point, getting into outpost range. Valdemar can push no further.
Yeah, this is always such a scary situation for both of those sides. When the numbers are starting to build that much, one lost fight can just be the game. So they're hesitant to take the full engagement. They're hesitant to dive fully in, just allowing the range to continue to poke, continue to prod until they feel like they have enough to make the difference.
Yeah, a little damage done by Valdemar there, and you can see the recapture now of that sacred site. Valdemar expands out onto the berries, maybe onto the deer a little bit later. There's a Donzo in the area to look and see what's going on. Wham about to decap that one, though.
I mean, with this many scholars, Pro Scouts actually has come through, so you can see him actually starting to ferry those deer back on the bottom side. So we'll be able to have a safer resource under his TC. And it looks like Wham already wanting to prep the third pit mine. This might give Valdemar an idea of what Wham's trying to do here. He's got walls set up. The third pit mine, you can only build that in Castle Age. And look at the resources Wham's been building.
Potentially a little tip of the hand there. The Ghazis move up, start assaulting that gate. Wham just about with enough resources to click that age. Valdemar, though, on the other side, aging up himself. So they're going to be just about tied coming into Castle Age here on those timings.
Yeah, hand in hand so far. This has been such a close series. It is tied 1-1, and there is so much pressure on the line right now. Wall might be rebuilt there in a bit. Wham's getting the scouting, getting the information he needs. The full archer mass is being distracted by that scout, and Wham still got his mass up here in the mid-map, so we'll try to deny the next sacred site to disallow gold trickle, disallow Valdemar to actually use that gold for units, which can happen in Castle Age.
Yeah, Delhi getting those knights. I mean, that's one of those things you see. Delhi, the time it takes for those techs to come in, going with just the new gold units you get as soon as you hit castle. The back and forth there, Valdemar securing it for the time being. The Scholar hanging out at one of those relics, bringing another one home. 2 on the way back. We do have a little fight. Ghazi's a little far forward, eating a bit of damage, 1 going down.
Yeah, the big benefit here for Wam, though, is he knows he can get his techs in quicker. Mali going to be able to significantly beat out the Delhi in those veteran age units typically.
Absolutely, and we do see an elephant in the queue for Valdemar as those spears rain down, picking off another Scholar, but 2 will be safe. Come home with their relics. 3rd one also in some trouble, popping a Wololo, but he is not long for this world.
And you just saw the javelin throwers change colors. Veterancy has come through. Meanwhile, on Valdemar's side, he's just making the transition to an elephant, to men-at-arms. He's going to allow those units just to stay feudal age for the time being. Cannot make those production buildings go where they are not producing actual units. Outposts being burnt down, villagers trying to run away. This is a crucial timing. Valdemar needs food, needs to continue to produce as this army mass is in his base. 1 villager down, 2 villagers down.
It is a massacre there. Those villagers caught out.
More villagers going
away.
out.
Oh, another one and more running into. You can see the blueprint for the mine there. I think those vills were running onto it. And now Valdemar needing to defend. Elephant leading the charge into the Malian army here. Looking to do some damage to thin this out, get his advantage back.
Donzo able to step up and be that front side for the time being. The Ghazis are just disappearing. There are a few men-at-arms, though, that are really going to be that tank, but look at Wam's micro. All of the javelins, they haven't stopped firing on the archers.
The villagers!
Villagers come back through. Let's see if Wam wants to prioritize the villagers or prioritize winning the military engagement, and military engagement is the choice here for now.
Not going to dive, not going to chase. Those vills go back home. Javelins just picking off what they can on the backside of Valdemar's base. Elephant slow to give chase. Javs just turning around, throwing their spears out when they can, picking out those archers as another elephant joins the battle.
Yeah, great kiting there by Wam, but the tanky units from Valdemar, just hard to stop that front line so far. 2 more relics picked back up by Valdemar that were sniped earlier on.
Yep, able to get his relic count up to 4 at this point, but has no sacred sites. And those 10 villagers that ran to safety earlier, it appeared that they were idle for some time while that fight was going on.
Yeah, and I mean, while you feel great for Delhi being able to get these free upgrades over time, we're seeing more villager picks happen potentially here from Wam. If you're down in vills to Mali, you're typically in a detrimental position.
Absolutely. They have so much eco that doesn't require those vills. And if you have that disadvantage of not having your own villagers, you're in a lot of trouble as they continue to die. Another pick there for Wam. Elephants rotating it around to defend, but they are slow units.
Yeah, Wam does have 2 split armies, so if Valdemar's able to close the gap, able to take an engagement on 1, he will win the fight pretty easily, or he should, and we see him trying to do that now, but Wam pulls that army back, and look at the split screen now. Wam saw where a ton of villagers were going earlier, and oh my gosh, this isn't just a few vills, this is like half of Valdemar's economy, and just going to keep stepping forward, keep taking down as many vills as he possibly can. Wololo's going to be attempted here as well. Easy focus fire there from the javelins, but all of the scholars pop on out. Another Wololo goes down. He's gonna try to heal through the damage of these javelin throwers.
Javelin fire continues, getting another scholar there, now able to focus their fire on the archers as they try to retreat from the elephants, and that's just been huge to keep Valdemar off of the resources in that area. The vills come out, but then they're forced back home again, over and over.
You can see Valdemar using his market. Another Wololo attempted. Oh my god.
He's going.
Oh no! Oh, just 2 units. That got really scary for a second. It's so hard. You got to either pull the trigger or back away. If you double guess yourself, have any second guesses, it could just be over. Another villager mass spotted out. Keep is attempting to go down here, give Valdemar at least a sense of safety, but look at what's behind. It's a sofa mass. Villagers now being attacked.
Elephant standing in position to try to deter those Sofa from getting any more. Keep goes up. Now we got elephants in the front, but the villagers are still exposed as they try to drop that mill and need to get out of there.
Sofa also splitting out onto the gold. Valdemar's economy is in shambles. Delhi is not in a great spot. It feels like he's going to try to come back with the typical keep spam. Maybe, we see the village fortress queued on up, but it's going to take a lot of time.
Yeah, Wham is everywhere. He can just ignore that keep. All the resources that those villagers on are in the back, off to the sides, not down the front.
Valdemar's at 10 food per minute. He's just now been able to get back onto the berries, but Wham, he's not going to let him be on those berries for long if I know him.
Yeah, that pressure is going to continue. He's going to have that vision, that sight, that presence to be there, shut down Valdemar from getting comfortable with any sort of economy here. The Sofas just running laps around the elephants and the rest of the Delhi army, not letting Valdemar stop that or have a breather when it comes to his villagers.
Meanwhile, on Wham's side, hasn't had to worry about any raids, hasn't had to worry about anything at all. He's on triple pit mines. He has 19 and 20 cows, so, not quite the full array, but I don't think that's going to be too big of a difference here.
I'd say that's good enough with no real disruptions there on the Malians. Yeah, his eco has just been able to blow up and just explode with the amount of military he's been able to produce with that. Those Sofas still threatening, still preventing Valdemar from taking those berries.
Yeah, there's the last few berry bushes on that northern side. Looks like Valdemar was trying to press up to the next wood line. The elephant mass does get scary here, so that is the one thing that Valdemar has going for himself. 3 elephants is nothing to slouch about, even with that many military units on Wham's side, but he needs to protect those, needs to make sure they can't get picked off without getting healed back to full.
Yeah, those elephants stepping out, now retreating, getting closer to Scholars, but there's more activity. Sofa down, causing some havoc in Valdemar's base. More Sofa coming in to regroup. Elephants dropping back, but this line of units from Valdemar are just thinning out.
And Wham, he's taking this fight. He's going to take this fight under the keep still. Scholars have been pulled to heal up these elephants. He is doing everything he can to end this game now. Valdemar trying to hold, but there's still raids going in on the base. Look at that healing, though. Those elephants, they're not getting touched.
No, they're tanking everything, and it's fine. They're free to continue to advance and get in on those units. Sofa, though, coming around looking for those exposed archers in the back. Elephants need to shift, which exposes the Scholars to the top, and that source of healing is about to run out.
And without the Scholars, the elephant mass is not as valuable. Trebuchet already coming down for Wham, wants to start sieging down that keep. I'm not sure if he's going to even have to. Valdemar's trying to farm transition where the whole army is posturing from Wham.
Yeah, and that is about it for Valdemar's military. The only thing left standing are those 3 elephants and 3 Scholars to heal them up.
Village Fortress 8 seconds away, but Valdemar calls it. No food means no military, no stabilization. Wham! Going up 2-1.
Absolutely destroying the Delhi eco in that game. What a great one. There was some back and forth, little pokes, little prods, playing for those sacred sites. Wham able to get them shut down for the majority of the game. Valdemar had him for a bit, but Wham able to turn those off, get the momentum on his side, and then bring it into Valdemar's base. Yeah,
the big question now for Valdemar is, would he rather play Cliffside? Would he rather play Frisian Marshes? Zushi was a priority pick, but KT on Frisian Marshes is nothing to slouch about, so that might actually be the thought process from him is, have that strong, one of the strongest civs, if not the strongest on that map.
Yeah, to dig in, to be like, this map was drafted, I picked it for a reason, I was able to get this civ. This was part of my plan going into the series. It's now available for me. Get that win, have that civ advantage, get the series equalized, and then close it out in the next one.
I mean, and look at those resources gathered. Obviously, as that game went longer, as those villagers started to get slaughtered, Wham just able to significantly outpace Valdemar as far as gathering those resources goes.
Yeah, and I think at some point right around the start of the Castle Age is when those raids were just constant. There was no safety. Those vills would come out, they would gather for a second, and then 8 Sofa would appear. They'd have to run somewhere else. There was just no comfort there for Valdemar.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what happens with the Delhi at times is when they're needing to go out on those further berries. He was over, on the berries to the north near his base, all the way in the south as well. If you're not able to consistently stay on those, if you had to give up map control to go up to Castle Age, you're going to start losing food and then not able to equalize on military.
Yeah, you're going to struggle, especially when you want to bring in those heavier units, those more expensive units, whether or not, get those Delhi Lancers, those men-at-arms, or elephants, as we saw in this case. Food is the backbone of that Delhi economy, and being denied that is disastrous.
Yeah, it was crazy to see how long those elephants were still able to stay alive when Wham was doubling, tripling the military count. I mean, there was a point where he was like 15 times when there was only 3 elephants. But it was indeed now the Frisian Marsh's choice from Valdemar. He's going with KT, and Wham saving Ottomans for that spot as well. So not a bad Civ pick by any means for him here as well.
I think Valdemar just going to step back, take a deep breath. He's got a Civ that is very good on this map, refocus himself, pick up that win, get momentum back on his side. We'll see how it all shakes out. Ottomans, no slouch either on Frisian Marshes. They can be a huge pain to deal with. We'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, and that's where we've actually seen, what some people would say the favorite of the tournament, Marine Lord. I think he has picked Ottoman on Frisian Marshes every single time it's popped up, or at least, the last 2 or 3 matches that I've watched on there from him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's bringing the Ottomans to the map. We've seen Louis bring the English to the map in his own style, and that all folds out. It's like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to take the pawns. You have the pawns. I'm just going to develop my farmland here. Yeah,
and that's such a weird thing to say because anytime there's fish at all, it's almost take it or you lose. And that's where Louis' game plan, Louis' strategy is like, no. I'm playing 2TC English in the corner. What that allowed Marine Lord to do on Ottomans was spread out to all the pawns and trade, and there was just a little bit too much for Louis to deal with in that matchup. But KT, they're able to be the aggressor typically. They're not always sitting there walling themselves in, going 2Ts and things of that sort. So we might see some spears early and often. We might also kind of see those feudal age units start popping out and really be that ball on either side.
Absolutely, and could see scuffles on both sides throughout the Dark Age to establish those initial pawns, to establish that map control. That KT is going to have the Pilgrims moving towards the center, having units ready to start to disrupt that. But we'll see how it all shakes out. We're loading in Game 4, Frisian Marshes. Wham is leading this series 2-1 against Valdemar.
Yeah, it is nerves on the line. This is win or go home for Valdemar. He has to be locked in here. He has to be ready here. Wham already on the pond. Valdemar, though, let's see what he has planned on his side.
That red dot, likely a scout on the other side of the map. I don't see any near the pawns currently.
Yeah, so just opting for that quicker feudal age on Knights Templar, not opting for any, early spears, not opting for any early pawn gathering either.
Yep. Not wanting to duke it out in the Dark Age, just going to go to feudal, not going to be delayed because he's not investing into a dock, so he'll be up that much sooner. Start the game in feudal on his terms. He's got the gold for it, just needs to grab the food, and he'll be there shortly.
Yeah, and the benefit for Wham, though, is those docks are a little bit cheaper. He'll have those few fishing boats out. Even if there's early feudal age pressure, usually those fishing boats already have that payoff timing. It takes so much time to burn down those docks. They can jump inside, and we already see 2 fishing boats out there gathering up that precious, precious food resource.
Yep, the fishing economy has started for the Ottomans. Take a look. No movement to any other pawns quite yet at this point. Think of France, of course, coming in for Valdemar. So he'll be up in just 40 seconds here.
And you can actually see the outline of the barracks that Wham has. I think his scouting pattern, it was circle around, make sure to know that there aren't spears coming out for Valdemar, because if he, loses that pond or loses the gold gathering early, he needs to react in the correct way. So just canceled that barracks and decided to make a few more fishing boats.
Yeah, great scouting, great change of gameplay in there. There's nothing going on for him in the Dark Age, so I don't need to. I've got nothing to pressure. I've got nothing to really defend here. Just going to go back to the docks and use that wood and get that fishing eco.
Speaking of docks, Valdemar dropping one of his own now. And right as the feudal age finishes is when he will start building that on up. Twin minaret dropped in the perfect location. This means the berries are tucked up nice and close to the town center. Not an easy spot to have any damage go down on.
Yeah, real tricky to get in there and kill those vills, get access to them when the twin minaret is in that spot. Berries spawn very close to the TC. See Wham, another villager moving over, looking to dock up yet again on that pond, add another to those ponds that he's already claimed.
Yeah, and Wham's still circling the base of Valdemar. He knows Feudal Age came out. He's like, all right, what do I need to react to? What's your first production building? Is yet to see one, so doesn't have to worry about anything as of now. So that wood he's gathering can still go to more docks, can still go to more fishing boats until he needs to react to something.
Absolutely. You don't see anything, not forcing any sort of response. Keep that eco scaling because your opponent isn't going to be able to put any of that pressure on you right now.
Yeah, speaking of eco scaling, Valdemar is already, has more outlines of more docks. So both of these players kind of thinking the same way, kind of playing that same game.
Scout continues to circle around, just getting an eye, maybe seeing another building, but not much of importance right now as the twin minaret completes. The Ottomans are now into the feudal.
Ottomans are in the feudal. It is going to be that matchup. Double broadaxe immediately queued up for Wham, as they're both using a ton of wood. KT's known for their wood gathering. Ottomans not so much, but double broadaxe will help him quite a bit.
Yep, give a boost there. Take a look at a villager long harvesting a sheep, and an outpost going up. Valdemar looking to defend the gold at this point, getting ready for any pressure that Wham is going to send his way. Wham just continuing to circle, get that information that he needs to know how to react to what Valdemar is planning on.
Yeah, and surely we'll see a production building here soon from either of these players. No military schools yet, either from Wham. No need for it. He wants more economy first. And there is indeed a production building. Sipahi in queue. That unit is so strong. We saw it multiple times earlier today where, it felt like numbers may be even, but all of a sudden Ottomans heavily win these fights because those Sipahi, they're just a little bit stronger than what it seems at first.
Yeah, that tankiness and especially that reach to be able to poke down in onto the second line of units or poke in from the backfield, continue to do some damage. They are tough to contend with as we see the first Vizier point coming in, and it is Anatolian Hills.
Yeah, might as well just get some food, even though he's got plenty of food out, on the water so far. It's always nice having some extra sheep, even though he's got, 7, 8 behind his scout that he hasn't worried about dropping off yet.
Yep, just adding to that count. I mean, Sipahi pretty heavy on the food when it comes to units there. Still circling with that scout, just looking to see where Valdemar has expanded out to on those ponds.
Yeah, wants to make sure that there's not a villager still out here. It might not seem like much, but if you're able to pick the villager out that's trying to build the next dock and get it before the dock does go up, can be a huge victory here. Wham building an outpost of his own at home, but Valdemar, his scout's just sitting there watching, ready for this. And will we see first blood?
Chevalier coming in with a little tap. Yeah. Villager able to get out of there.
Oh,
down to 8, but he will get safe.
I mean, villagers jumped inside that TC since there were so many under the TC, down to about a third health over there. Sipahi circled back around, wanted to finish him off, but not able to do so.
Yeah, another Chevalier joining the fight, so the Sipahi needing to back off for the time being.
I mean, both of these players, they're just going fast castle. That has been the
Look at
name
those
of the game
resources.
today.
Yeah, that is the plan here. No big investment into feudal. Just get on up the castle. Those Chevaliers looking for exposed vills on the wood line in the back. Wham is going to see that coming. Little idle time. Oop. Villagers moving back and forth, but they are not going to go down. They will be just fine.
And the MIA on the way with 9 villagers, and Valdemar matching that timing on up.
Yep, getting the Angevin Empire going up. Little dock health. Always fun to see on this map. I don't know how much that's going to pay off because we're at the point where we're not using spears anymore to torch these down. Not a lot of pressure on the docks anyway so far this game. And as I say that, Chevaliers, come on in.
Yeah, you know, the typical, not necessarily cast or curse, but, you know, they're listening to you a little bit and decides to focus in on this dock, trying to burn down some of the fishing boats, but the low health one just jumps inside, will get healed right on back up and pull right back out. So this is one where as long as Wham's on top of this, there should not be any long-term damage that gets done. And there's actually 4 fishing boats in that pond. Usually people only opt for 3 as that is not a resource that comes back, so we'll end up running out a little bit quicker on that pond.
Yeah, and especially if there is pressure on the dock on those fishing ships. There's only room for 3 in there as well. But Valdemar may be thinking he just wants to get that food as fast as possible, deplete those fish stocks as quickly as he can. You see some more units coming out, some actual units hitting the field, a couple of Lancers on the side of the Ottomans. Chevaliers still moving around the map, trying to scout out the Ottomans' positioning here.
Yeah, and yet again, just making sure that there's no additional docks being built by either of these players. So they're both kind of confined to those early few docks that they each built. Like we just saw, Valdemar has an extra boat on each pond. While that might be some extra food now, that will not extend him as far out as he likes. But giving himself a little bit of an escort for this villager to continue extra economic boosts.
Yep, keeping him safe, expands to the other ponds. MIA does have that mangonel in production. It's still going to be a little bit before we see that one pop out. Blacksmith Tech's on the way in for Wham. He's adding crossbows to his army comp.
Yeah, and we've seen Valdemar prioritize relics quite heavily early on in the previous games. Believe he might be doing the same here. Going to try to maybe move out, secure some relics, and get that passive gold income flowing.
Yes, we shall see. But right now, a little more harassment on a dock there. Do have those Ottoman Lancers sneaking on through the stealth forest, trying to catch Valdemar off guard here at home.
And sneak indeed. He is just tucked up as close as possible next to that wood line. Just now going towards the wood line on that other side. We can see the picture-in-picture here. And there's some villagers there that are free for the taking. No reaction yet from Valdemar. One villager should end up going down.
And there's the hit. A lot of damage. Could be 2.
Oh, great body blocking villager formation shuffle, but another 2 go down. 3 pickups from Wham here early on.
He's getting those Lancers out before the heavy spears can make contact. Good little dip in, do some damage, get out. Imams out on the map. They're going to be forced back home with the heavy spears defending those positions, protecting the relics, letting Valdemar start stockpiling them for himself.
Yeah, the first relic has been able to be brought back here from Valdemar. He is on its way, but actually, as we say that, Wham, he's got his Imam there already with a relic himself next to base. Usually you'll just see him drop it off and try to start moving out for the next. Sometimes they delay on actually dropping the monastery to drop it on in because he used the Vizier point to get those double Imams out.
Get him out, get the tempo of, you know, even before you can hit castle, to have those Imams in position to bring the relics home. Means you don't have to get that mosque up then, but Valdemar with 3 relics on the way back, dropping a house by the lakes.
Yeah, we see it's 10 fishing boats to 6, so Valdemar does have that little bit of a benefit there. Hardened spearmen able to get taken down there.
And that opens up that relic for Wham to come in and scoop up. So likely, if that Imam's able to stay alive, the relic count will end up. 3-2 as Wam needs to retreat from this position. Valdemar, it seems like he's got units just all over the place on his side of the map.
Yeah, my big question here is, has Valdemar been able to spot out the crossbow transition that Wam's been doing behind this? He's up to 15 crossbows. I think he is hiding those out somewhere. Okay, here we go. Starting to move forward a little bit with the part of the mass.
Yeah, hasn't really shown them yet. It's just been those Lancers, that Sipahi just running around, distracting the army, making them give chase, pulling them out of position. They might even pick up a relic here. There's the commitment. Oh no!
He cancels it, decides to run on away before the monk gets taken down. So one knight is stolen on away.
Incredible. I mean, he had it if he just stayed there. It was just one more tap and then couldn't retreat. Can't go halfway, can't hesitate when you're trying to cancel or retreat from a Wololo. But he is now with his Metter and those crossbow moving into Valdemar's base.
Yeah, and now Valdemar, he needs to react the correct way. Might need to get some different units on out now because he sees the massive range mass that Wam has been building up. There's also not just the range mass. There's the Mangonel, there's the double Springled because the MIA just slowly producing more and more stuff. He has also added triple military schools behind this. Hasn't picked the Vizier point for the fourth one, but can choose that here soon if he desires.
That will come in shortly. A little attack ping in the middle of the stealth forest, but Wam able to take care of it. Valdemar getting a defensive position set up on the outside of his base. He's got a couple of units scouting around the map, trying to see where that Ottoman army is.
Yeah, and speaking of, looks like he's barely able to skirt by the main army. Sees a villager moving out. Villager, though, close enough to the army to deter Valdemar from actually being able to pick that up. Wam wants a little bit of vision on this sacred site, vision over this mid-map, and, you know, probably going to be a passive gold income for him if he gets that outpost up as well.
Yeah, Valdemar, though, starting to capture the sacred site. I know Wam was moving to that position, so a little scuffle there. Tower coming up. Valdemar needing to retreat from that position.
Yeah, just two spears there. Just able to deny this, able to pick up this monk, and a Sipahi raid going in on that wood line again. He was successful early on, sneaking on around, splits up the Sipahi mass. No villager picks, but still a big amount of idle time for that many villagers.
Yeah, a lot of idle time. They had to run out pretty far from the wood lines to get to safety. It's going to be a little bit before they can get back. Meanwhile, Wam still adding pressure to the front of Valdemar's base. And we do have another tiny little Sipahi raid in the back as well on the picture-in-picture.
Yep, Springled here as well, so able to start getting that pierce damage. But this doesn't feel like it's all of his army. It does feel like it's all of Valdemar. So Valdemar happy to take this fight, happy to push forward. That Springled's just going to be a sacrifice.
Yep, got to leave that guy behind. Get out of there. Get the rest of your military up with you. Valdemar continuing to press here. As you can see the reinforcements, some Sipahi coming around the top side there. Going to help out, prevent Valdemar from advancing much further.
But Wam just doing such a good job kiting. Hasn't really been in range of the of that many of the archers with the crossbows, so was able to pick up more and more of the units that were a little bit too far forward from Valdemar.
Yeah, and those unit deaths continue to pile up. I can hear the deaths off screen. We take a look again. Those crossbows safe in the back for the time being. Mangonel shots coming in overhead. Springled shots continuing to rain in on the infantry as well.
Yeah, just a lot of those units now half health, a little under half health. Sipahi getting to chase those down. Yeah, there might be a lot of spears on the other side, but if they're lower on health, they're not turning, they're not bracing. Wam able to continue to win these military engagements for now.
Yeah, he was able to regroup, push back here, and Valdemar dropping a fortress of his own, a little defense here. Wam is not going to push further for the time being, or maybe he was just waiting for some reinforcements. Right now, he's just on the outskirts of Valdemar's base, waiting for the next move.
We heard those fishing ships get deleted. That's that first initial point where, you know, a couple of these ponds now starting to run out. 190 fish left on that secondary pond for Wam. Economies still looking very, very even. Valdemar was ahead in the military numbers for quite a bit until all of this kiting from Wam. So let's see if it continues to go this way. Valdemar needs to get this game, needs to tie up this series to avoid being finished here at King of the Rockies.
It is elimination. This is match point for Wam. He's able to secure this game. He stays in, and he's got a game right after this. The winner of this series is staying on for another one immediately after. We'll see how it turns out. Wam moving away with his army for the time being, coming back to regroup, get in the stealth forest, secured one of those sacred sites.
Oh, Pilgrim able to get that gold secure.
Just under the nose of the Sipahi. Another fortress, though.
One
way in the
single
back.
villager? He's just trying to sneak this thing in? And what that one does is it secures that next massive gold location he's going to need to move out to. If it gets spotted, though, it could be a detriment. Only range mass here. Sipahi able to close the gap. He doesn't care if there's a fortress there. He is going to be taking this fight for the time being. Not enough spears. Too much army here from Wam. Valdemar has to take this fight. Needs to kite around the fortress and hope it does enough. But there's also villagers that are over on the gold that have to run.
Getting a Pilgrim as well. Those archers able to get out the back as the Sipahi give chase to the villagers on gold. They jump into the TC. More idle time there. There's so many in the fortress. Good engagement there for Wam, who picks up the second sacred site.
Yeah, the clock has now started. He's also been reinforcing both of these sacred sites slowly. Sprinkled outpost at one, sprinkled outpost at the another. He dropped a second outpost as well, so really starting to kind of lay that defensive line, make it to where he's going to say, you know, Valdemar, you're going to have to come to me. I don't have to kill you. I don't have to finish off all those fortresses.
Absolutely. You can see that wall also being dropped in the middle of those sacred sites. There's a little wall in the stealth forest as well. Wam coming out just to secure his territory, keep that timer going. Moving in for a second with the Sipahi, but thinking twice, getting back to safety.
Janissary Point was utilized for Wam, I believe. He's up at 20 now, so has been starting to produce those a little bit. That one villager, he's been hammering away for it feels like a minute or two now, and that fortress will end up going up, but will it actually be a difference? Will it actually help Valdemar in the longer points of this game?
Yeah, it's going to take some time for that to really come into play when the gold expires, and we have a clock going as well. Just 8 minutes, 30 seconds, forcing a response from Valdemar at some point here. Needs to act before that can really pay off.
Yeah, and Wam's leaning into that range mass even further. If he's dropping those walls, Valdemar needs a range mass to be able to fight that effectively, and he's making this mid-map completely his. Complete control over here. Sipahi's circling. Let's see if it pulls away Valdemar's force, or let's see if Valdemar can try to deny this mid-sacred site location.
Looks like he's ignoring those Sipahi for now. Heading for the sacred site, but the Sipahi are going to find the villagers and that food eco, and it's a 100% massacre. I don't know if any of these vills are getting back to safety.
They're trying to get to that fortress that one villager built, and by the time they get there, there's only two left. A huge pickup. Maybe Valdemar should have tried to chase those Sipahi. Another fortress going down forward. He's almost like creeping further and further forward to this sacred site, but Wam, he's fine with this. He keeps picking up villagers. He keeps killing economy, keeping up the pressure, and taking beneficial trades.
Absolutely. That was massive, the Vill pickup there for the Sipahi. That last one will go down. Fortress established outside the sacred site there. But Wam is comfortable. He's able to just mass there. He can continue to just add pressure.
Look at the resources. Wam's about to go Imperial Age while all of this is going on. He's been winning these engagements, beating out these military fights, taking these effective trades, and adds up to now have the Istanbul Observatory on the way. And that's such a demoralizing thing that you hear when you're already on the back foot and all of a sudden your opponent's an age ahead.
Yeah, and going imp, it's also saying to you, my economy, I think you've underestimated it, because I was able to spend this amount of resources, even with the game maybe you think as tight as it is.
Yep, Valdemar is pushing forward. 2 more outposts are being built currently. The siege is setting up, though, and when there's this big of masses, those AoE units, those AoE fires, the mangonels, it feels like they do so much more. Sipahi circling around the backside. If Valdemar steps up too far with the spear mass, the archers, they're as good as dead, and Valdemar is as good as dead. Wham! Takes the series, is going to move along to face Louis MT.
Congratulations to Wam, previous king of the Rocky, putting on a good show there. 3-1 against Valdemar. Great game on Frisian Marshes there. A little slow to set up. Both players looking to set up their economy there. Oh, we got a sign.
It's harder to read. I can't see exactly what's in front of Wham's desk. Would love to be able to read that if there's someone else who could shout that out or get it closer. But what an exciting series. It was not an easy one by any means for Wham. Whammy ball. Let's go. Well, what an exciting game. Obviously, Wham had that first loss, kind of, was reeling on the back foot there. Had a couple losses as far as the raids go, but the next 3 games after that just, maybe not clean, but effective.
Yeah, able to play so well, keep that pressure on. Looking so sharp out there, and taking the rest of it and able to advance.
Yeah, a big W there for him, and he doesn't have too much time until the next series, as he is going to follow this one up against Louis MT.
Yeah, out of the frying pan into the fire. And he is also on the way up here for a winner's interview. So I will step aside, and I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Congrats. So exciting series there. Big congrats on moving on to the next bracket now. What were you thinking after losing that first match of the matchup that we've seen so much this tournament?
I was spooked going into it because, it's 0-4, I think.
Yeah.
And I guess I made it 0-5.
Yeah, we've kind of seen this tournament where Byzantines gets out on that front foot a little bit. You're kind of feeling comfortable, and then all of a sudden, the Mounted Samurais were able to find a huge connection on the gold. Was that one where, after you see something like that, do you feel the pressure to be able to, immediately have to counterattack before the economy difference starts to add up?
Yeah, I felt like I was really far behind in that game at a certain point. He was getting the relics, he had farms. I didn't lose too many villagers here, I thought, but...
No, it wasn't this one. You actually only lost 2 here on the dive, so this is where I felt like you were in a really good position. It was right as you had moved off to that secondary gold outside the walls.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, the one on the right side there, I guess.
Yeah, the typical AoE 4 pathing annoyance.
Oh my god, I was I was not happy there. Oh
Got a little fan club here, excited, cheering you on for this next game. And so, you followed up that loss with 3 straight victories. Did you feel like you still had all the civs left that you wanted, where you kind of still had the advantage and the matchups based off of your preparation?
Yeah, I think the only matchup I was worried about would have been the second matchup, the Mali-Delhi matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I think Delhi maybe a little bit favored there, and it's not a matchup that I've played in a while, but I thought I played pretty good in it, and I was happy with all the other games in particular. So.
Yeah, Mali is typically that civ where you're like, you have to react to them, but it kind of seemed like you felt pressure to continually deny the sacred sites, which you had done a great job of early on. And then was there a point where you just knew he was running out of food, and that was your main focus there?
Yeah, I think it definitely was my main focus that he was running out of food, but I was really happy with just allowing him to have 1 sacred site, and even at a point he wasn't even having a sacred site. And when you have 5-8 cattle, I just have the eco advantage there. So I was really content throughout most of this game, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like Mali's such a hard civ to play until you've played it a ton, because of exactly what you said. Most people are like, wow, he doesn't have 20 cattle. I can't believe he's still pushing forward, and why isn't he investing more into it? And it's just a little bit of that economic bonus, I guess, that eked out your slow lead here.
Yeah, I think so.
And later on in the game, we saw the elephants come out. Do you feel like Mali are able to kind of counteract the elephant mass with the units that they have at hand?
Actually, I was having a little bit of a difficulty killing them, but as you can see here, you just pull Delhi apart when they go elephants, right? You attack from one side, you attack from a different side, and elephants just can't keep up, man. Yeah.
Well, big congrats on the victory there. What are you thinking with not much time going into the next series? Are you prepped to play against Louis MT, or were you full focused onto this series at hand?
I mean, I prepped both series, you know. I feel like you have to, especially I'm probably going to be on in like 10, 15, 5 minutes. Like, I don't even know.
I think we give a 10-minute break for you at least. So, maybe you can get some water, go to the bathroom, maybe a little snack. But, I know where your mind's going to be at. It's got to be in the next series. It is win or go home.
Yeah, exactly. It's win or go home. And, I want to win. I want to continue on the event. It is, I did win the last time. So, I mean, it would be a little bit disappointing for me to lose to William T. But obviously, he's a very good player, so I just have to play my best,
Yeah, and so have you been able to do a lot of prep work? Because obviously we've been playing games all day in the past couple days, but Louis has been playing as well. Have you been able to watch his series and kind of plan and prepare based off of his Civ picks, his draft picks as well?
Yeah, I've been preparing based on his draft picks and his Civ picks a little bit, but I haven't played against that style, so I'm not sure how I'm going to go up against maybe the 2TC English that I've been seeing, or I mean, I've prepared strats against it, but is it going to work? I mean, we'll have to see.
Yeah, haven't been able to practice it. Well, again, big congrats. I'm not going to hold you any longer. I'll let you take your break. Get ready for the next series at hand. So we will be back here in about 10 minutes here and be casting. I believe Crackety will be coming on, and we'll be casting the last series of the day here, which is Louis MT versus Wam.